A chemical compound, sodium chloride. Formula is NaCl, sodium chloride, which is known as table salt or common salt or edible salt. In this lesson, we are going to learn advantage and disadvantage of sodium chloride or table salt. So, let's begin. The very first point is salt or table salt. First of all, let's see some examples of salts. It's a kind of salt, sodium chloride, potassium nitrate, aluminum sulfate. These are the examples of salts. Sodium chloride, which is prepared from acid hydrochloric acid and base sodium hydroxide. And here water is formed as byproduct. Potassium nitrate is prepared from acid nitric acid and base is here potassium hydroxide. Here water is formed as byproduct. Aluminum sulfate is another kind of salt which is prepared from sulfuric acid and base is here aluminum hydroxide. Water is formed as byproduct. So the definition of salt is the compound which is produced from the reaction between acid and base is called salt. This is another salt which is produced from the reaction between acid and base. This compound is salt. The compound which is produced from the reaction between acid and base is called salt. And at the time of formation of salt, water is formed as byproduct. Here, this is the salt, name is sodium chloride. This salt is used in cooking curries and used on the table during meals, dining table during meals. That is why this is called table salt, or sometimes it is called edible salt, or it is called common salt. Now let's see what is the source of this salt. Now the point is source of salt, sodium chloride. Seawater is the main source of sodium chloride. That contains around 3.5% by weight. That means 3.5 gram sodium chloride is present in 100 milliliter seawater. Or we can tell that 35 grams sodium chloride is present in 1 liter seawater. That means seawater is a kind of saturated solution of sodium chloride, which is known as brine. Definition of brine is The saturated solution of sodium chloride is called brine. Seawater is a kind of brine in which salt is present, sodium chloride. That means 3.5 grams sodium chloride in 100 milliliters seawater, or around 35 grams sodium chloride is present in 1 liter seawater. So seawater is the main source of sodium chloride. Now let's see how can we collect sodium chloride from seawater. Collection of sodium chloride from seawater. Seawater that contains 3.5% sodium chloride. This seawater is taken in salt bed that is made on the bank of the sea, where by pumping seawater is taken, and after that heat of sun is used to evaporate water, and after the evaporation of water we get salt, and sand is mixed there. So now we got salt with sand after the evaporation of water with the help of a heat of the sun. Now this mixture is taken to factory or industries where this mixture is mixed with water to make a solution. Now this solution is filtered. After the filtration of the solution, sand is separated and we got a solution of sodium chloride. Now this solution of sodium chloride is heated again. Then water is evaporated and sodium chloride remains at the bottom of the vessel. So in this way we can collect sodium chloride from seawater. Now this sodium chloride is packaging and marketing. So in this way we can get sodium chloride from seawater. Now let's see what are the uses of sodium chloride or importance of sodium chloride. Now the point is uses of sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is used in curries to increase their tastes. It is used to produce important chemical sodium hydroxide through electrolysis process. Sodium chloride is used in drug industries to manufacture saline. These are the uses of sodium chloride. Now let's see a point, that is sodium chloride in water. When sodium chloride is dissolved in water, then sodium chloride ionizes to sodium ion and chloride ion. Now let's see the structure formula of water. This is water. Electronegativity of hydrogen is 2.1 and oxygen is 3.5. So electron cloud moves towards oxygen, and as a result, oxygen becomes negatively charged and hydrogen becomes positively charged. This is the water molecule in which oxygen gets negatively charged and hydrogen atoms get positively charged. Now let's see what about sodium ion and chloride ion. Sodium ion in water is surrounded by water molecules with its negatively charged oxygen in this way. Similarly, chloride ion is surrounded by positive end of water in this way. So we can say that sodium chloride in water ionizes to sodium ion and chloride ion. Then these ions are surrounded by some water molecules. Sodium ion is surrounded by some water molecules with the negative end of water molecules. Similarly, chloride ion is surrounded by some water molecules with the positive end of water molecules. So sodium chloride carries water molecules. This is the important chemical nature of sodium chloride. Now the point is role of sodium chloride in our body. First of all, fluid. We learned that sodium chloride carries water. So sodium chloride helps keep the amounts of fluid inside and outside the cells of our body. Then it helps in proper functioning of nerves and muscles. Then sodium chloride helps keep volume of blood. Then pH of blood, etc. So sodium chloride is important for our body, but when it is increased somehow, then we face problems, or if it is decreased, then we face problem. That means advantage and disadvantage of sodium chloride. This is the next point. Now the point is hypotension. It's a medical condition when blood pressure is around 90 by 60 millimeter mercury. That means when blood pressure is lower than the normal blood pressure, then this medical condition is called hypotension, and it is observed when sodium level is decreased in our body. So proper amount of sodium chloride in our body is important to maintain. Now let's see what is the proper amount of sodium chloride in our body. Now the point is proper amount of sodium chloride in our blood. In our blood, sodium ion is around 140 millimole per liter, or this is around 16 gram per body. That means in our body, on an average, sodium ion is 16 gram. In our body, there is 5 liters of blood on an average for adults. In 5 liters of blood, sodium ion is around 16 gram. Similarly, chloride ion is around 16 gram in our body. So, this is the proper amount of sodium chloride in our body, and we take around 13 gram sodium chloride every day, which is more than double than the proper amount, that is 6 gram. We should take 6 gram sodium chloride every day, 24 hours, not more than this. Now let's see what will happen if we take more amount of sodium chloride every day. Now the point is hypertension, which is the result of more sodium chloride. When blood pressure is above 140 by 90 millimeter mercury, then this medical condition is called hypertension, and sodium chloride is responsible for hypertension. Normal blood pressure is 120 by 80 millimeter mercury, but for the more amount of sodium chloride, this blood pressure is increased, and if it is more than 140 by 90 millimeter mercury, then this medical condition is called hypertension. And for hypertension, sodium chloride is responsible in this way. When sodium chloride reaches our blood, then it takes a huge amount of water in the blood in this way that we already learned. Sodium and chloride ion carries water. So when sodium chloride reaches our blood, it carries a huge amount of water in this way, and as a result, volume of our blood is increased. For the increased volume of the blood, sodium chloride is responsible, and as a result, this increased volume creates additional pressure inside the arteries, which is known as hypertension, that is high blood pressure, and it is above 140 by 90 millimeter mercury. So this is all about advantage and disadvantage of sodium chloride. No more. Thank you very much.